Rosalyn Hedgepeth, the founder of Pretty Boss LLC, the platform that propels women forward through webinars, blogs, articles, and interviews. Today we're here with Jonathan Baker. He is the co-founder and CMO of Monday Night Brewing. Thank you for letting us come here today. They have been in business for 7 years. They have 2 locations. They are everywhere. I'm just so grateful that we could be here and really just learn from him and speak with him and see how we can take some of those nuggets and apply it to our own lives and businesses. So, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Good to be here.
Yes. Can you tell us how you got started?
So I met my 2 business partners in a Bible study, actually back in 2006, and we were home brewing together on Monday nights, so it was a hobby at first, and it kind of quickly started taking over our lives, and we just fell in love with the process of brewing beer and the community of beer. It's this like really relational beverage, right, that everyone can relate to. And so we put together a business plan. We actually spent 5 years on our business plan before we launched. It launched back in 2011. And now we have 2 breweries in Atlanta. We distribute to Georgia, Alabama, and Tennessee. 45 full-time employees.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Every time I hear that, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
And we've really grown quickly. So here we are.
Nice. So 5 years on a business plan. Guys, that's a big commitment. So even with the 5 years, do you feel like it was perfect? Do you still you're still working on it today, 7 years later? Like how are you with that?
So my 2 business partners are both very different from me, which is one of the things that I think makes our partnership work so well. I'm the kind of guy who would have dove in much earlier and said, you know what, we'll figure it out as we go, right? We'll build the parachute as we fall out of the plane. But I've got one of my business partners is in finance, and so he's a lot more kind of reserved and careful. He would have taken 10 years, right?
Yeah.
With a brewery, it's a business that we're not reinventing. So there wasn't like an advantage to us being first to market. Some of businesses are not like that, where you actually, speed to market is much more important. For us, it wasn't, so we had the luxury of time. I will say once we launched, our business plan changed within a month.
Wow.
And I wish we just kind of dove in a little earlier, looking back, knowing that a lot of this industry business, you're just going to learn on the fly, and you're going to learn from your mistakes.
And with you being the CMO, Chief of Marketing, and having to change your business strategy a month in, how did that go with your flow? Like, what did you have to shift?
At that point, my flow was already way off the rails.
You were building the parachute as you were falling. Okay, good.
Those early stages of being in the trenches with your business and like, oh, now I need it to make money, like,
yeah.
right? Those are scary, and you're kind of all in all places at all times. So I don't know if I was able to parse out marketing from the rest of the business at that point. Fortunately, our problem then was we couldn't make enough beer.
That's right.
But we were using a contract manufacturer to make our beer. And so we had some constraints, like how do we get more beer out of them? We don't have our own brewery, so we can't just drop in new equipment. And that's when we actually pivoted to kind of start the wheels turning for opening our own brewery, which we did a year and a half after that.
That's not bad. And I know that was a big leap of faith to open your own brewery. So.
Mostly on the part of our wives, yeah.
Okay, bringing up the wives, because you want to make sure your household is stable and you want to have work-life balance, but you also have to make sure you have money coming in. So was this always a side hustle after college, or what, did you just jump into full-time entrepreneurship?
It was a side hustle for 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah. That 5 years when we were building the business plan, we'd probably spend 10 to 20 hours a week on the brewery. And all of our wives had full-time jobs as well. So they were the kind of stable ones that would fund our crazy ideas.
Fund the dream.
That's right.
Nice. But I love how y'all held in there, and it obviously has paid off, So that's great.
Yeah.
That's good. So something that we connected on, we actually hosted an event here through Esquire Branding Agency a few months ago, and Jonathan and I connected on our background. We both come from faith-based families, and we have also talked about how we had to kind of create our own lane, even based off of where we came from. So how was that journey for you doing a brewery? And it started at a Bible study. So how has that back and forth been for you?
With faith?
Yes.
Yeah, it's starting an alcoholic business forces you to really confront your faith and your beliefs as you're doing so, because you get so many questions from Christians and non-Christians. I've had some tough conversations with family members, and I've had some really good conversations with family members. I think more than anything, having the faith as a bridge helps us run our business in a way that complements our faith, and then also gives us a way to talk to people who might not set foot in a church, but they're comfortable setting foot in a brewery, and just getting to know them personally, right? But it's not there's no easy answers. We are making expensive, relatively craft beer that it'd be very inefficient to get drunk on. There are much cheaper ways to fuel your habits. We truly are like making beers to be enjoyed with dinner, with friends, complex beer. So that's given us a little bit of kind of a shield.
And in a way, it's like, I know this is different, but it's like a ministry to me, because you all actually bless a lot of nonprofits in the area, and you go out of your way to give back to the community. So this platform has fueled that.
Absolutely. And I think, no matter what me and my business partners would be doing with our lives, like, your vocation should be a ministry as well, right? I mean, you live your life like you live your faith, and the two should never be like, oh, this is my work life and this is my ministry, right? But I will say, having this great space, having beer available, has given us more tools to give back, which has been gratifying. As you're growing, we were a nonprofit for
5
X
years.
number of years. In that we were not making profit. So you have to be pretty strategic about like what you're giving to, right? Because if you're not in business, you're not helping anyone, including yourself. So you have to look to your business first and make sure it's going to be stable and successful. And then once you get that kind of to a certain point, you can start investing in causes that make sense not only for you personally, but for the business.
Sounds good. And we've said beer a couple times, so I'm curious to which beer you're going to have me try today. So let's go ahead and head to the bar.
Sounds good.
All right. So what beer would you recommend to someone who likes maybe a glass of Chardonnay every now and then, or some champagne?
Yeah, the cool thing about beer is it's so diverse. Like, there's so many different styles. Recently, there is this new style that's come out called the Champagne IPA.
Oh, okay.
Which is, it's an IPA that's brewed to be super dry and bubbly.
Wow.
And sometimes it's actually brewed with champagne yeast. So it's very reminiscent of champagne. It's got a little bit more body to it. And then these lighter sours are also a really good way to start out, because a lot of sours are actually aged in wine barrels.
And you all have one.
Yeah.
That you let me try. It smells delicious. It's great.
She didn't like the taste. That's fine.
It was,
She didn't spit it out.
I love this one. What is this one called?
That's Drafty Kilt. That's a Scotch ale.
I love this one.
It's dark, malty, a little bit of smoke, chocolate.
It's the chocolate that got me.
Yeah. But if you're into wine, I would say skip the IPAs, which are the hot thing, right? But dig a little deeper, get into some of the sours, the barrel-aged beers. That's where you're going to find stuff that you like.
Nice. So I love burgers, and I was at one of my favorite burger spots, Shake Shack, and I saw y'all there, and I got so excited because I was like, I know them, and I just wanted to know, what has been your strategy? How have you just been able to grow and have different distributors in different markets? What is your secret sauce there?
Our growth strategy is really to hire people that are better at this than we are. The first hire we made was a salesperson, and sales doubled in 3 months.
Wow.
And that's because I was doing the sales, and I am not good at sales.
You knew that was not your strong place.
Oh, I was hoping it wasn't because I hated it, yeah. And, just really being data driven is also important. Particularly early on, that can be a competitive advantage because a lot of folks that are kind of your same size probably aren't looking at data. And so if you can use that to your advantage and say, okay, what kind of insights can I glean from this? So we'd look at where our beer was selling best, and then we'd say, okay, well, let's spend more time there, right? Or we were up in this area last year, now we're down.
What happened?
Oh, there's a couple new relationships at the distributor level that we need to go cultivate. Let's go set up some events and spend some time with them. So using the numbers to help tell you the story of where you should be spending your time. I think that's been another part of our growth.
Which is important. I actually just had a webinar that taught women how to use Excel because you need to be able to do VLOOKUP and pivot tables so you can do that analysis. So it's refreshing to hear, even at a beer company, that the data will never lie. Something that we're seeing with women, U.S. Senate, they had a study and said gender pay gap, lack of mentorship, lack of funding is really what's holding women back in business. So that made me think of negotiations. How do you tackle going into a negotiation?
It depends a lot on the situation, right? And it depends on what leverage you have going in. And I think that is probably the first step is to identify your points of leverage, and then the person that you're negotiating with, their points of leverage, right? What are they going to be holding over you, and what are you going to be holding over them? I think not making decisions in the moment is important, and being able to say, okay, that's interesting. Let me, give me 24 hours to think about that, and let's circle up again, so that you can go back and talk to some of your mentors, people you trust, your spouse, right? Just to get another perspective, because I watch Shark Tank, and those people are making deals left and right, right? And that's part of the show. But sometimes I'm like, ooh, I bet they wish they had a few more minutes to think about that. I think to go in with confidence and to not undervalue yourself is also important. The reason that you're at the table is because you have something to offer, right? Yeah. And so don't let that slip.
Yeah. Know your value, ladies. That was a major key right there. So something else is bartering. Yes or no?
We barter all the time. Money's better, right? But bartering, particularly in the early stages, is a great way to make things happen with less money, but also to form relationships with like-minded entrepreneurs and companies. And a lot of the brands that we've bartered with early on, we've actually grown with over the years, and now we have even stronger relationships. Because we just understand how each other operates and where we're coming from. So I'm in the yes camp for that.
Nice.
Also, it's really easy to barter beer. It's basically currency, so.
They have this beer that comes out one time a year, and when I tell you, I butcher the name every time, but it is delicious. What is it called?
Tears of My Enemies.
Yes, and you can barter with me anytime.
That's another negotiating trick. Yeah. Tears of My Enemies.
Did you come up with that name?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
We'll have to talk about that story. What drove that? I'm very curious. I do not want to be on the other side of that story, but yeah.
My brother? You don't want to be my brother? Okay.
Oh, okay. I also want to talk about lack of mentorship. That's something that's also holding women back, like us not reaching across the table. So who is someone that mentored you, and what's something that they said that really just has stuck with you?
My father's been a great mentor to me. He's an entrepreneur himself, and while it's in a different field, it's always great to be able to reach out anytime for advice. I've also had mentors from college, old professors, and that they're always so excited to hear from past students, particularly when they're doing something exciting and want to be able to get out of the academic context. There's a lot of advice you can get from mentors. I don't know if there's one thing that has stuck with me. I will say that just having mentors who enjoy you and love you and know you for you is probably the most meaningful. Because starting a business is a hard road, right? And you have to have people that will believe in you even if they don't agree with you, right? You want them to actively disagree with you. That's what a mentor does.
Yeah.
But to have someone who's going to be there with you through that is really important.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, even on my journey, I've had people disagree, but they still push me and they still support, and I think that's so important. You have to find a mentor, ladies. Someone who is above you that can pull you up, and then also remember to always pull somebody up with you. Find someone that's 2 steps behind you and help them get to where you are. I think that's so important. So I thought this was really cool what you did. You took a sabbatical. So you took a break away from everything, which is important for your mental health, your physical health. You come back refreshed, renewed, restored. So talk about your work-life balance and what made you want to take a sabbatical.
My work-life balance has kind of ebbed and flowed over the years, and in those early years, you're given 110% of the business, and I don't think there's any way around that. You just have to find joy where you can, find life where you can. But one of our goals early on was to have a business that could run itself for short periods of time without us, right? So in hiring decisions, even early on, we had that in mind. Is this someone I could train to do the things that I do day to day so that I can take a vacation? So having the support system at your place of business is important. And being able to step back and say, fundamentally, why am I doing this is important. It's so easy, I think, particularly in America, just to get sucked into the grow mentality, right? Like,
I want more.
Yeah. I want my business to be bigger so that I can make more money. But there was a book called Small Giants that really inspired me, about companies that chose to be small and great instead of grow. So they intentionally made a decision to stop growing so that they can make businesses that they loved, that their employees loved.
Wow.
And that can make an impact in the world. So I'd encourage you to read that book for sure. And always question why you're doing what you're doing, right? Like, is growth really what I want out of this? I mean, that's the yardstick to which most businesses are measured. But you can be much smaller and more profitable sometimes. Why did you start a business? Just keep asking yourself.
Yeah.
Because you get sucked into it and you forget.
And that goes into the purpose of why you all started. You started a company so you could deepen human relationships over beer, and I think we've done that today, Jonathan.
All right, cheers.